Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go-to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Hi, and welcome to The Real Female Entrepreneurs. Today's guest is a best-selling author, TEDx and keynote speaker, and creator of the powerful message behind the power of grief. After the unexpected loss of her husband, she turned her journey of healing into a beautiful love legacy, inspiring countless others to find hope and happiness through grief. Help me welcome this courageous, passionate, and transformative storyteller, the incredible Marie Alessi. Welcome,
Thank you
Marie.
so much.
Did
Thank
I
you for
do it
having
right?
me. I'm really
I
happy
said
to
it
be
right.
here.
I said your name
Yes,
right.
perfect.
Oh,
Oh,
I love it. I tell you, I always mess up names. I have to fix them all the time
that's
at work.
okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here, Angel.
Good. Thank you for being here. This is going to be fun. Promise, promise. And you are going to give so much hope and inspiration to so many women. I mean, I just know that's what you're going to do.
Thank you.
So, something had to click to inspire you to be the female entrepreneur you are today. Do you want to tell us the story?
Oh, yes, I try to keep this really short because that story could feel like 3 hours of interview. So I'll give you the nutshell version and then we can go into more detail. So I was actually working in the advertising industry for a good decade, and that's also the time where I met my husband. That's also the time where I moved to Australia. So I'm originally from Austria, moved to Australia in 2004, met my husband 10 months later, and got married another 10 months later. So anyone who would have told me I would move to the other side of the world, meet the man of my dreams, and then get married within such a short amount of time, I would have asked them if they are at their sanity's level or not. But when I met Rob, it was just, I just knew. And you know how often people say, when you know, you know, I never understood that, what that meant until I met Rob. I just knew. And we had two gorgeous boys. So they're about to turn 15 and 17. Wish me luck.
Breathe deeply.
And yeah, and they were actually the reason. So when I fell pregnant with my first son, that was the reason for me to leave the advertising industry, because I have seen way too many people try to combine family and career. And at that stage, I was pretty high up on my career ladder, and there was really not much further that I wanted to go. And when I fell pregnant, I gave them my notice and I said, don't look for maternity relief, I'm leaving. And they were all very surprised. And it was the best decision ever. I loved being in the advertising industry and I loved leaving it. It was perfect timing for me. So I became a stay-at-home mom. That was fully planned. We wanted to have two kids for me to stay at home till they're old enough for preschool. And it's very much exactly what I did. And then I started looking around other career paths and literally stumbled into the self-development world. And I never looked back. I loved it. I started my own coaching business, and very much from the early stages focused on transformative coaching. So, first of all, with moms going back into the workforce, then into relationship coaching. I did a bit of happy birthing classes as well. So, you know,
Oh, wow.
becoming a mom, helping them through the birthing process. But everything I did was mindset related. And the business just grew with me. You know, I grew through my own self development journey and the business just grew with me. And it was just such a natural transition. And about 7.5 years into running my own business, my husband Rob went on a business trip and never made it home. He passed very unexpectedly from a brain aneurysm while he was on a business trip. So, as you can imagine, that was a huge turning point in our lives. And very, very lucky to my own background and also through my very early experience of losing my dad when I was 20, I had learned enough to say, I'm going to turn this around. I've got two young boys. I don't want them to go through what I've gone through. I am going to create the happiest life possible for them. And that is a decision that Rob and I had made 3 years prior in a what if conversation where we never thought that this would become reality one day. We thought it was theory, right? So that's what got me
Wow.
into what I'm doing today. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, can I am just so blown away. I mean, who could ever expect anything like that to transpire in their
Mm,
life? And I mean, I know you come across woman after woman or
mm.
husband after husband and family members that deal with this on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's right.
do you do one-on-ones? Do you do group? What do you exactly do in your situation
So
you teach?
yeah, in the work that I do, there was also quite a transition journey. And again, I try to keep this very compact for you because we're talking about 6.5 years at the time of recording this. So Rob passed in 2018, and very shortly after, I saw a positive psychologist. I said, I need help through this because I'm holding space for my children. I need somebody to do this for me. And I saw her, and it was incredible because of my background. My mind and my heart were just wide open for anything she gave me. Anything she gave me was planted into very fertile soil, and it just grew. And I remember the work with her was like a fast forward session every time I sat there, and I loved it. And there was a very significant point very early in our sessions together where I said to her, I find it very heavy. It was such a burden for me, the expectation of society. Our society is not open to, hey, let's create the happiest life after your husband passed. They see that as disrespectful. They see that as this is not how you're supposed to grieve. Yet, Rob and I knew our journey. We knew our relationship. We knew what we wanted for each other. And our entire relationship and our decision going forward, we would have never thought that this was our decision of going forward into the path that I then had in front of me, was based on this one sentence: love just wants you to be happy.
Mm.
And there was so much love between the two of us. So whatever happened to either of us, we wanted the other person to be happy. And when I sat with Emily, the positive psychologist, and I told her about how much of a burden that felt to me, she said, so, what does grief mean to you, Marie? What is your perspective? And to my own surprise, the first word that came out was empowerment. And I'm like,
Mm.
wow, I did not expect that. I did not expect to find empowerment in grief. Yet, when you think of the primal force that you feel, that you go through, this primal force is usually only met in birth and in death. The primal force that we feel when we birth our children, the primal force that we feel when we lose our loved ones, that is really an intensity that you usually don't get during your life. So in that moment when I said that to her and explained it to her how I felt that, I said, I think I need to write a book about that. And she said, I think you should, Marie. And I did. So literally 5 weeks after that conversation, I had written and published my first book called Loving Life After Loss, because that was our journey, how Rob and I met, how we fell in love, how he passed, and how we dealt with it. And within 3 weeks of publishing that book, I took the boys on a trip around the world. I knew I had to get away from all these expectations, the heaviness, and everything. And I just wanted to create new and happy memories away from where we were seen as the widow and the kids who just lost their dad and all the heaviness wrapped around it, going into all the first milestones without Rob, the first Christmas, the first New Year's, the first birthdays without him. I needed to get them away. But what I didn't expect was that my book ranked in the top 100 bestseller list of Australia. And that just blew me away. I'm like, thanks, babe. I knew he had everything to do with that. I'm like, well played, thank you. Oh my goodness.
That is
And
amazing. That is amazing.
yeah,
That
yeah, it's
just think how
very
many people
unexpected.
there are that need what you have. And I mean, I love the
Yeah,
fact that you took off
mm,
with your children to give them that
yeah,
happiness that he wanted
yeah.
you to give them.
Yeah, that's what we had planned, right? Just yeah, honestly, like that was the first thing that came to my mind when I had to break the news to them was Rob's sentence. I want you to create the happiest life possible for them. I had no idea how to do that straight after hearing the news that he passed, but I knew that was my lighthouse in my darkest hour. It became my North Star literally for every decision going forward and still is. It still is my North Star in everything I do, in every personal decision, in every parenting decision, and in every business decision. And I really feel that Rob's been guiding me along the way the entire time. The book becoming a bestseller, then us traveling around the world while I was away with the boys. I'm like, I think I've got something the world needs. I need to do something with that. I decided to create a movement with the same title. I started the movement in 2019, March 2019. I had it for about 5 years. I was present and on the entire time. I created healing journeys, programs, retreats. I wrote another book called Happy Healing. I did my first TEDx talk called Redefining Our Image of a Widow, because that was really important to me to redefine that image. And then I had this moment where I knew I had to step away from the movement because I went from one burnout to the next, and I just felt I had nothing left. I had come so far in my own healing journey that I felt I was stepping further and further back to take people with me. And I felt I'm not doing them or myself a favor. I need to cut this off right here. So I archived the movement after 5 years. In that process, published my third book, Sparks of Joy. It's a prompted journal, which is really such a beautiful gift to have like one little prompt every single day that sparks joy. And I stepped into the unknown again, and I had this really beautiful moment of complete surrender. I'm like, okay, bring it on, universe. Tell me, babe, like, what is my calling going forward? What is my next step? And again, I flew to Europe with the boys for 5 weeks after we archived the movement. And when I came back, I had already had a booking, and I thought, I'm not going to let them down. I'll still do that, to speak at Camp Widows in Brisbane. Camp Widows is actually originally from America. We have it in Australia too now. And I was booked to speak at Camp Widows, and they asked me if I would address the topic of anger because nobody else wanted to address it. And I said, I'd love to. It's one of my favorite topics. Anger and grief so go hand in hand often, not always. And I said, I'll speak about it. I delivered a talk on befriending anger and the wave of healing that went through the room. I still remember that feeling, and I had no idea what I was walking into. But it was, again, this pivotal moment for me where I'm like, and that's what I'm going to do going forward. I'm going to become a speaker. That was literally the moment that transferred everything for me. So it was incredible.
Wow. And so so you're a solo parent, correct?
Yeah.
So you're a solo parent right now. You have two
Mm.
teenage boys, is that right? What are their ages?
Hmm. Yes. So one is turning 15 this week, and the other one is, oh, actually next week, sorry. And the other one's turning 17 2 weeks later.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes.
And I'm sure you had to deal with grief and anger with them. And I'm sure.
I'm very, very grateful to say I did not have to deal with anger from them at all,
That's
which
great.
is really incredible. There were some teenage escapades, I can tell you that, but not anger. No, I'm very grateful that for me, again, I'm going to put this in a very short version here. For me, anger is just a cover up emotion. It's what is underneath that triggers it, whether that's grief, whether that's frustration, whether that's fear, or whatever that is, that needs attention. And I always made sure that I paid attention to the emotions underneath, so the anger had no more chance to break out, because my whole starting point to seek a positive psychologist was my outburst, but that was deepest grief that had no outlet because I was in doing mode, in identifying his body, preparing the funeral, then walking our youngest son down the aisle for his first Holy Communion in the same week of the funeral. So there was just doing, 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 and then I collapsed and screamed, and everything came out, and it was literally, it was scary. And that's when I realized what's underneath needs attention. That needs attention. It is literally just something that needs to be held, that needs to be seen, that needs to be healed. And once you do that, anger is really not needed. It really completely dissolves, and that is just such a beautiful and nurturing process.
I love the way how you explain that it's the
Mm.
underlying that needs to be healed.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just such an emotional, process that happens,
Mm.
and to be somebody to be able to see those things is the key, to be able to look at those, and it sounds like you have that insight and that empathy to just go forward and understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because most people don't understand that to look deeper. Don't look at just the outside of what's happening. You have to look
Yeah.
deeper into the heart.
It's hard to understand when you're in the emotion, often it needs an outside perspective. And I didn't have that at that time. That's why I collapsed into it. And that's why I seek for an outside perspective and for somebody to hold space for me. And it worked so well. I'm really grateful. Yeah.
So with being, a mother of 2, how do you balance everything, especially teenage boys? How do you balance
Mhm.
everything with work and
Yeah.
being active with them and everything else? Any
I'm going
tips?
to be straightforward. I think you can't, full stop. Literally, I'm very honest here. I don't think you can balance that. And a very, very wise person said it to me once. I wish I would remember who it was. I would like to quote them, that it's never about balance. It's all about harmony. And that's when it clicked in my head. I'm like, oh my God, yes. Because whenever you try to balance, it's a constant balancing act. It's like a little bit more here, a little bit more there, and it's that constant doing. But when you think of it as, let's just have that all in harmony, it's like, oh, that's an instant relief. And I have to say, it's so often that I work till late at night, but not because I have to and I have to do more and there's so much work to do. It is because I'm a night owl. I love the peace and quiet at nighttime. I often sleep like today. I slept till like 10 a.m. in the morning and I love it. I love that because it's school holidays and I can and I do. So for me, I've been trying so hard to create a structure that works for me. And I felt like I was pushing up the hill. And when I let go of that and just went with the flow, and like now I have the time, I sit down with my laptop, or sometimes I take my laptop to a cafe because I need, creative input. I need a change of scenery. I don't always want to work from home, or I go into a shared office space because it's so lovely to be with other people that are in a creative space or something like that. I change my scenery and I go with the flow. Now, school holidays, everything's different. My boys are still asleep now. Well, one of them texted me before, but anyway, um, whatever works as long as you get what you need to get done into your calendar. Because that whole balancing, I think it's a myth. I would want to see one person who's got it balanced. But when you think of harmony, I think that works a lot better. It feels so much better in my heart when I say that.
I love your harmony. I call it the dance. So
Oh, yeah, perfect. I love that. I love that.
you gotta move, ebb and flow with it, and,
Mm,
sometimes I'm that midnight 2 a.m. girl too, so I totally get it
mm.
because it just some kinda way, I
Yeah,
just jam with it. I can, like, function. My
I
creative
kept
juices
I've
flow.
kept feeling so guilty about it though, because so many people always say, "Oh, if you want to be successful, then you have to be part of the 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. club." And I'm like, I can stay up till 4 a.m. if you want to, but getting up at 4 a.m. Are you crazy? I can't, I mean, obviously everything is something that you can get used to, but do you want to? That's the thing. And I want to say one quick thing because you said the dance. I remember one scene where I was sitting in front of my fireplace and my husband was in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, he says, "Babe, have you ever noticed that there is the word dance in abundance?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't. I love this so much." And I love that you just said dance because I chose the word abundance for 2025. I always choose one word each year, and this is my word. And you just said dance. I'm like, perfect. Synchronicity.
I like the word abundance. I think that's great, and I
Yeah.
love oh my god, I love the word dance. Everybody I used to own a dance in school,
Yeah.
yes, I love dancing.
Oh,
It's my
me
jam.
too. Love, love, love it. Same.
So what advice do you have for a female entrepreneur who's, like, going, or someone who hasn't even started yet, let's say they haven't even started, what would
Yeah.
you say to them? I'm thinking about it. I don't know what to do.
Mm.
What would be your advice?
Okay. I would say make sure that whatever it is that you choose to go into, that you're passionate about it. You need to love what you do, because otherwise it will feel like hard work. Be prepared to allow help in. That's a really big one for women in particular. I was always like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. No, that's the male speaking in you. That's the male energy. Just allow the embrace, allow support in. And there's one really, again, a very wise line. I can't remember who said that, but I think it's been quoted by so many people. We often overestimate what we can do in the first year and very much underestimate what we can do in the first 5 or 10 years. So there is a lot more preparation to get your business established than you ever think about. So just be prepared to deal with that and just trust. I really feel that if you just trust that you love what you do, I believe that money always follows. Maybe that sounds very naive, but that's my belief anyway.
No, you have to have passion for it. Otherwise, you're going to burn out quick,
Yes.
way too quick.
Yeah.
And that's not what you're going to want. Not at
Mm.
all. So, what about a woman who has been in business for a little bit and you've come across this and
Mm.
burnout, a little struggle? What
Yeah.
what do you suggest that they do?
Take time away, like literally completely away. Like I've, before I archived my movement, and I had to make this really big decision because I had taken approximately 5,000 people on the healing journey between March 2019 and June 2023 when I archived the movement. 5,000 people. That was a lot of people that I held space for the entire time. So I didn't take the decision lightheartedly because I had thousands of people in that movement. And the first thing I did was I literally took one long weekend away. I booked an Airbnb near the beach, and I had my mod squad, my team of moderators, look after the group for that time. I said, I just need absolute space to sit with this, to think about that. And then I just knew. It's basically in my heart, I already knew, but I really had to sit with that decision. And then something else fell into my lap, and that was about 1 week later. It was a shamanic retreat where we went in absolute serenity, pure nature. And I took the opportunity to go on that week as well. I went to my mother in law. I'm like, I know you just looked after them for like 3 days, but can you please take them for another week? I needed more guidance. And in that retreat, I got very clear when I'm going to announce it, when I'm going to close the movement, and it all just fell into place. I felt like I sat with my husband the entire time through that shamanic retreat. He was there with me all along. I did a lot of very intense spiritual work, and this was my path. But I'm saying to your entire audience, find your path, find your way of really stepping away. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you don't step away completely, like really hand everything over for a couple of days, no business can collapse in a couple of days. If it does, it wasn't built right in the first place. So step away from it, because only then will you get the outside perspective of what you need to do next. Really allow yourself to do that. And sometimes it takes a little bit of planning to be able to do that, quite often, but plan it and step away, because otherwise you'll continue that circle of playing on the verge of burnout. And when you're balancing up there, it's very easy to slip. So just allow yourself to step away.
So, talking about perspective, knowing what you know in business, what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
Oh, be more focused on what you actually want. Don't allow yourself to get sidetracked by all the shiny objects and other people's opinion. Surround yourself with those people who really believe in you. Don't hang out with those people who sort of, naysayers, or yeah, let's see, or this is too hard, don't do this, Marie. Just hang out with those people who've actually already done it. Allow that in. When you rub shoulders with people who've done it, who walk the talk, it is so much easier to adapt those mindsets and action steps and everything. You learn so much. Network with those people. Have sacred circles with people who've done that, and allow help in. Allow help in from those who believe in you. There's a lot of people who want to help. You know what I mean?
And everybody has their opinion.
Mm,
And they
mhm.
all want to put their opinion on you.
Yeah, and that's what pulls you in so many different directions, and then you don't know where to go. So learn to trust your intuition again. I know that it's often like when you're in business, there's so many things that you need to learn. So intuition is not always the only thing that you can lean on, because there is a lot of things that you need to learn, and there's a lot of technical stuff that you often need to learn or learn to outsource and pick the right people. But intuition plays a big part. I think we all need to learn to reconnect to that part, to really just trust our heart, and with business decisions, personal decisions, and make it all happen. Yeah.
And I love the fact that you said help, outsource, build a tribe. I mean, because like you said, as women, we have a tendency to not do those things.
Yeah.
We're afraid to give up, like, I guess, the apron string. It's almost like it's
Yeah.
our child in the apron
Yeah.
string.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have to be willing to do that. All right. What is one key strategy that you've done in business that people have maybe looked at you and said, "Oh my God, you're crazy. Don't do that."
Hmm.
Or they said, "It's not going to work. Don't do that. That's not going to work."
I think it's the entire idea that has become my everything, my tagline, my brand, my everything is bringing lightness into grief. And I understand that with that, I'm up against the majority of society.
Okay.
And that was a big thing of trusting my intuition, trusting what Rob and I had decided together, and also trusting the spiritual epiphany, I want to call it, that I had very shortly after Rob's passing, where I realized this is our path. This is our soul contract. We have actually chosen this. And by knowing that this is my mission, I was literally up against the majority of society, as I said. But the more I stood up for it, the more I knew I'm here to heal the world from grief. I'm here to change the narrative of grief. I felt really almost ridiculous or naive when I first said it out loud. And now I'm like, yeah, I'm owning this. And the more you own it and the more you say it out loud, the more you find your tribe. And the more you realize, oh, I'm actually not alone in this. I always thought I was all alone in this. And then all of a sudden you meet more people and more people and more people. And now I've got an entire podcast where I interview people every week on that topic. And I realize there's so many stories out there. I'm not alone. I think the key sentence here is we are never alone. Once you start stepping up and standing in for what you believe in, that's when you also start attracting those who are on that path with you.
Oh, I love the fact you said attraction, because that is so true. We magnetically
Yeah.
attract those people who resonate with us. Don't you find
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. 100%. Yeah. See, that's why
Yeah.
we are sitting here.
That's it. Can you share any future plans that you actually have in your business that we can keep an eye out for?
Um, I feel the more I had planned, it's that really funny thing going back to what you said before. And Rob used to laugh at this question when, you so often get asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? And then things happen and your life gets complete sidetrack, and all of a sudden your life is completely different. So I've sort of given up on this planning ahead, and at the same time I still have this big vision, and my big vision always includes speaking, reaching bigger and broader audiences, instilling this belief that we can change the narrative of grief together. And I can see workshops, I can also see retreats again in the future. I have pretty much put a stop to them when I closed down the movement. But yeah, it is a lot of group work and a lot of big impact. That's what I see for the future.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, can't ask you about a book because you write them in 5 weeks. I mean, you're like a miracle woman.
I've written 3 so far, and I've co-authored another 3, and there's again one in the making right now, that I want to bring out this year, but I haven't really picked a date yet. date sort of always picks me. So it hasn't come to me yet, but I really feel there will be, well, I actually know there will be another book this year. So yeah, I'm not going to give anything else away.
Anything else away. My intuition just knew there was one, so that's it.
Awesome. You're so right.
All right. So on a lighter side, if you had a superpower for just 24 hours, what would it be?
Oh, healing, definitely. Just healing, just opening everyone's heart to receive the message that there is something bigger and more beautiful out there. There's so much desperation and sadness and suffering in the world. And I wish if I had this superpower to open everyone's heart for 20 minutes and just send them love and healing. It really is that, but it's pretty much what I'm doing anyway. But if you can add that superpower to open everyone's heart to it, then it would be perfect.
It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So somebody said, I wanted peace and love. Like that would actually do it. That healing would do
Yeah.
that. It would heal everything.
Yeah.
All right. I love this one too. What's one fact about you that not a lot of people know about?
There are so many things that come to mind. I'm not really sure in what direction you want to
Oh,
take
you
this.
go anywhere.
I used to work as a flight attendant when I was young and crunchy, I always say, for about 3 years. That gave me the whole of flying back and forth to Australia till I finally moved here. I learned how to juggle accidentally because I actually wanted to learn how to ride a unicycle. And they only offered that as a combined course with unicycle and juggling because I actually wanted to join the circus when I was 12. Literally, I wanted to join a circus. I had a pen pal that was a circus clown for a couple of years when I was 12 till 15 or something. So maybe that's something that not a lot of people know about me, that I actually wanted to join the circus, yeah, as a juggling ballerina or something, because I was always into dance and I was always into making people laugh. So it would have been something around that, yeah. So yeah, I'm still juggling a lot of things, but not literally. So yeah.
And making people laugh through grief and love, right?
I really hope so, yes. At least
See,
I'm
you're
bringing
still
joy back in.
juggling.
Yeah.
She's still doing all
Yeah,
those great things. All right. Do you have a
exactly.
favorite
Thank
book?
you.
Do you have a favorite? Wait, what are your
Oh,
books? Wait, give us your books
yeah.
first and tell us your favorite book.
So I'm gonna go with one of the favorite books that I've just read recently. It's all around epigenetics, and it is called "It Didn't Start with You." Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal book. It has changed so much in my life, and it has added so many layers to my own healing journey that I'm now again spreading to everybody else around me. But it is really phenomenal. So if you haven't heard of epigenetics, please Google it, or please just buy yourself that book. It Didn't Start with You by Mark Wallin. Absolutely phenomenal. I usually, yeah, everything I read is around, I was just looking if the book is right next to me still, but yeah, everything I read is often about self-development, but there's also a book that I've just recently finished, which is Dreams by Rugari Gomo. Love, love, love his story. I actually met the author at a speaking gig and I went to his book launch and I bought the book and I read it in a couple of days and I love his story. So that's really, really beautiful as well. Yeah, these are the two that come to mind. But one more I'm going to mention, Dying to Be Me by Anita Mojani. Absolutely beautiful. It's all more, she's telling her story from a near-death experience and what she has experienced on the other side to realize what she had come back to heal her cancer. Phenomenal person. She's still alive now and is one of the leading authors and speakers in this near-death experience society. Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
All right. And tell us about your 3 books. What are your 3 books names?
Okay, so the first one was Loving Love After Loss. This is what started everything. This is what started the idea to create a movement with the same title, Loving Love After Loss, that I then had for 5 years. In that, I tell the story how Rob and I met, how we fell in love, how he passed away, and how we dealt with it. The second book I have written, so the first one came out in 2018. The second one came out in 2022 and is called Happy Healing. So this is where I actually share what happened after me publishing the first book, where I started a movement, what happened in the movement, and I also share my 7 steps from grief to relief in that book. So it's a very hands-on healing tool as well. And then the third book was Sparks of Joy. So it was actually started off as a daily newsletter. I had this for an entire year, and people could subscribe to it just to get a quick snippet every single day, just to have something, either something to think about or something to do for 365 days. So that was my newsletter. And then when I archived the movement, I'm like, I don't want this newsletter to be archived with the movement. And I decided to create it as a prompted journal, and I added little emojis and drawings and stuff. So it was my love and passion project, and everyone who bought one came back to buy another one for one of their friends, which I loved. They were like, oh my God, I love it. It's so perfect. And yeah, so it's in terms of the pages, I could only squeeze in 300, but yeah, there's about 300 prompts in that journal and enough space to add your own stuff. So that is my love and passion project for sure. I love Sparks of Joy.
That sounds like fun. I have to go get that one. I have to go get all the books now, and I'm like going, okay, now I need them all.
It is definitely super helpful for somebody who's going through a bit of a tough time. And I made sure that it's not just attached to grief. It really is just to spark joy in anyone's life.
You know, I just find those books are really great just to have as well, because you just never know when something might happen to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then you need to give it as a gift too.
That's so beautiful. Thank you. I love that.
Yeah. All right. Favorite song or songs?
Ooh. So one of my favorite songs that was Rob and I was Love Is in the Air. I sang that all the time to him. I love, love, love it. When I need a pick-me-up, Waka Waka from Shakira always does it for me. Or the Uga Chaka song, you know. I love like anything that's got a beat and that is happy. Just, yeah. But I pick those three.
Those are fun songs.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. What about a favorite quote?
Oh, I'm going to pick one that my godfather always said to me. Life makes no mistakes.
That is something to think on.
I'm going to just leave it there. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. How do you stay motivated?
Oh, I think every tiny little thing I do in my job, whether that is a speaking gig, whether that is spending time with my boys, you know, like I see the reaction in the people I work with or in the audience when I deliver a speech, or the freedom that I have through working for myself and spending time with the boys. I mean, I'm doing the interview with you now here, and then, you know, they are downstairs and we're going to go and do something together today. So there is this, again, it's that harmony, you know, of work and life and personal, like the business life and the personal life, so to say. And that gives me motivation because it just fills my cup, you know, it really fills my cup to be able to, from day to day, say, what makes me happy right now? What do I need to do to be happy? And I very rarely have down days. And I think it's because of the harmony that I've created in my life, and I love it. I love the difference that I make in other people's lives, and that really keeps me going.
That's what keeps you motivated then.
Yeah.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So what is the best way for our audience to stay connected with you?
I think if people are interested in the message that I share, then I would highly suggest to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is YouTube/@Marie Alessi. And I do weekly interviews there, and sometimes I post like little daily motivations. I've been quite slack with that lately because it's been school holidays, but you know, I go in and out of these, and that's fine too with me. But there's a weekly interview, or you can just literally go to my website, mariealessi.com, and there's a button, book Marie. That means you can just literally book a chat with me and reach out to me if you want to have a chat about something. And yeah. Or email me through, like, all my socials are on my website, so you can connect with me on whatever your preferred social media is.
So is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience? Give them more insight or a special tip?
Trust your heart more often and take more time out to really reflect on things. I think that's really important. That whole reflect on things, practice gratitude, that is really the only thing I've got left to say. I really think that is an important message. Yeah.
Well, Marie, I loved having you here. Oh my God.
Oh,
Your joy, your love, your compassion for everybody just shines through so much.
thank you so much for having me, Angel. I really, really enjoyed our time together, and it's such a beautiful connection. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.